have started to cheat. So obviously he is the biggest cheater. So when you are such a big cheat, how does Krishna respond? He responds by sending one of his most efficient cheaters, that is Maya Devi. And the first sentence she tells him is, your killer is born somewhere else. That's not true. He was born right in that prison cell. So Maya tells you exactly what it is not. Maya tells us this place is a place where you can enjoy. It's not. Maya tells us this place we can make a permanent settlement in this material world. We can't. So the next day, all the Vrindavan inhabitants came to know that, whoa, wonderful news! A baby boy is born to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, and they were hankering for a child for so many years. And what a child! And therefore, there was a big festival. So Prabhupada would explain to his young followers that Janmashtami is the time where we fast till midnight. That is the time of Lord Krishna's appearance. But the next day we have a huge festival, uh, which is the festival of Nanda Maharaj. But we also have a very special day the next day because Prabhupada also appeared a day after Janmashtami. So therefore we have Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, fasting till 12 noon, and then we have offerings, glorification of Srila Prabhupada the next day. So something similar, Gaur Purnima, Mahaprabhu appeared at sunset, moonrise time exactly. So we fast till moonrise, and then the next day, normally in our temples we observe the next day evening as a nice long katha, pravachan, discussion, lecture, and then a big feast. That is the feast of Jagannath Mishra. So that's uh, what we do. Now here is a very special story about the potency of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his mercy. So many things are just nicely packed in one small pastime. So I'll read text 37. अतिथि विप्रेर अन्न खाइला 3 बार पांचे गुप्ते से ही विप्रे करिला निस्तार. Translation. On one occasion, the Lord ate the food of a Brahmana guest 3 times, and later, in confidence, the Lord delivered that Brahmana from material engagement. Purport. This story comes in a very detailed form in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and at least 2 or 3 occasions, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that whatever has been described in detail by Vrindavan Das Thakur, the author of Chaitanya Bhagavat, in my book, I won't be giving the same treatment. I will mention it briefly. So this is just one shloka, but it's a very long story. And Radhanath Maharaj may take at least an hour and a half just for to tell this story. It's very sweet. So Prabhupada is saying the story of the deliverance of the Brahmana is as follows. A Brahmana means a priest, an intellectual, somebody who is uh, not really interested in material affairs. Sometimes this person could be without any family. Sometimes he could be a family person who does some teaching occupation. But basically, this person is dedicated selflessly to serving the world. So a Brahmana who was touring all over the country, traveling from one place of pilgrimage to another, reached Navadvip and became a guest in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Jagannath Mishra gave him all ingredients for cooking, and the Brahmana prepared his food. When the Brahmana was offering the food to Lord Vishnu in meditation, child Nimai came before him and began to eat it. And because of this, the Brahmana thought the whole offering had been spoiled. Therefore, by the request of Jagannath Mishra, he cooked for a second time. But when he was meditating, the child again came before him and began to eat the food, again spoiling the offering. By the request of Jagannath Mishra, the Brahmana cooked for a third time. But for a third time, the Lord came before him and began to eat the food. Although the child had been locked within the room and everyone was sleeping because it was late at night. Thus, thinking that on that day, Lord Vishnu was not willing to accept his food and that he was therefore ordained to fast, the Brahmana became greatly agitated and cried aloud, "Hi, hi, what has been done? What has been done?" When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Brahmana in that agitated state, he told him, "Formerly, I was the son of Mother Yashoda. At that time also, you became a guest in the house of Nanda Maharaj, and I disturbed you in this way. I am very much pleased by your devotion. Therefore, I am eating the food you have prepared." Understanding the favor offered to him by the Lord, the Brahmana was greatly pleased and he was overwhelmed with love of Krishna. He was thankful to the Lord for he felt himself greatly fortunate. Then the Lord asked the Brahmana not to disclose the incident to anyone else. This pastime is very elaborately explained in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Khanda, chapter 5. So I'm also not so happy just discussing this with just one purport. It's a very sweet thing. So just to give you an overview as to what exactly has happened, um, it was the tradition that society, especially Indian society, would gladly support these traveling mendicants. They're not beggars in today's sense. They're not thieves. They're not criminals. They're not parasites. They don't just live off society. In America, I think they are called slackers, isn't it? They don't do anything. They just take their dole, they take food stamps, they are stoned all the day, and they could be criminals or whatever. So people feel, why should we support these rascals? Why should I work hard, pay my taxes, and the money goes to support these people? So therefore, when Prabhupada came to the West, he saw that almost every country in the West has a law which prohibits people from begging, panhandling, or whatever. And when devotees came to India, they were surprised that how come Indian society is so tolerant of beggars, in the sense that it is seen as a very honorable occupation. So then Prabhupada clarified that they also contribute. In another purport in Caitanya-Caritamrta, Prabhupada says, giving free medical advice and free astrological consultation. These are the two Brahminical occupations which were done by the Brahmanas. Now just imagine how much money there is in medical care. In fact, economists have coined a term called big pharma. Big pharma means these big multi-billion dollar corporations, they won't kill you with their, the disease won't kill you, but these guys can kill you with their bills. That's the story of pharma today. They just want to control the disease, not to heal you completely. And of course, astrology has got such a bad name. There are so many quacks. The whole, it's not a science at all, according to what people practice today. But Prabhupada says that previously, the poorest of the poor folk can just go to a Brahmana or see a Brahmana visiting his village, ask him something, get medical advice, get astrological advice, and you give them some grains, you give them some clothing. So society would support them, they would support society. More than anything, their selfless dedication to serving Krishna. That was a major asset. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father, Nimai's father, Jagannath Mishra, he saw such a traveling Brahmana. Another important aspect, a guest, a house guest is called Atithi. Now, Tithi means a date according to Vedic calculation. Like we have today here, it is what, 17th or 18th of March or something like that. So there is a Vedic calendar also. So somebody comes to your home in a pre-planned way, that is one type of guest. But someone just shows up, so that is considered a very special kind of guest. Because when somebody comes, somebody is already planned, you are also prepared. Okay, this guest will take 2 or 3 days or whatever, or 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. But if you just find somebody who's coming to you, at your door, and you say, "Sir, I see that you are a traveling mendicant." Just see the language used here. Could you bless my house by stepping in and giving me the honor of serving you food? A wholly different language, a wholly different culture. In fact, it is said that becoming a householder is very easy. And someone like me staying in a monastery, oh, you don't have a family, you don't have any funds, you don't have anything for yourself. But becoming a Vedic Grihastha is actually, according to my calculation, more difficult. You know how? Just see the standards. Your wife has cooked food, and you have to go out and shout loudly, "Is anyone hungry? Our house is prepared to receive you." 3 times loudly. And if nobody comes, only then you sit down with your family and start honoring your food. Now, of course, one person told me, "Oh, Prabhu, if I say something like that, there'll be no food left for me." So, of course, it is Kali Yuga. We have to be aware of time, place, circumstances. But just see the mentality that it's not me and my family who own this home, homestead, farm, big skyscraper building, a duplex apartment, or whatever. That, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, is the mentality of a snake who just stays in a hole and calls it his own. The entire focus of Vedic culture is to broaden your horizons, mental horizons, your thought horizons all the time. It's a continual process. So, if you see even the smallest aspects, how to take care of guests, how to receive them, how to talk with them, how to engage in a conversation, all of these spiritual culture gives a polished version as against what we see is a very crass, unrefined version which we see in society today. So the important point is to invite guests all the time, to give charity as much as possible. So this guest was invited. And now a traveling mendicant, people would be very, very careful about food, not to eat anywhere and everywhere. And especially, I mean, today people are honest because most of the food we eat is called junk food. First time I heard, I said, why would somebody eat junk? So that's what it is. Another important point is still why like sometimes I see these recipe books or recipe videos. Oh, this is just like home cooked food. You heard the phrase home cooked food? So does a home use different type of fuel or spicing? No. Home cooked means the consciousness of the cook has entered the cooking. I heard one shloka which says that A person should trust his mother, his wife, sister, or daughter with food. Now, of course, some of you might be thinking, oh, it is all about women only cooking. Today, men also cook. It's all right. The gender doesn't really matter. But when you cook, your mentality enters every aspect of what you are cooking. Now, just imagine somebody cooking at McDonald's or Burger King. Will they be thinking about your welfare? That too, about your spiritual welfare? No way. That person could be saying it's a lousy job. They're just giving me minimum wages. All the kinds of things he could be thinking of doing after this job is over. All that enters the food. And as you eat, your consciousness becomes exactly like that. So this mendicant came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, and knowing fully well what he must be doing, they said, "This is your place for cooking, and these are the ingredients. Please go ahead." And it was evening time, so he said, "I only eat once a day." And they understood that, oh, he's a very special person. He's very austere. So all the necessary arrangements were done that he can cook in peace. And he has his traveling deity with him, a small shaligram shila which he would carry in his neck. And so everything normal. So rice was cooked along with some vegetable, just one or two preps. So he began to chant specific mantras invoking Krishna, and his specific love was towards Gopal, Lord Krishna as the transcendental coward boy. So he started invoking, and the prayers are simple. Oh my Lord, please come and accept this offering. As he was chanting this mantra, he saw this child has come and started eating that rice right in front of him. And he shrieked, "Hi, hi, alas, alas." And the whole family came in that particular room. What happened? What happened? He said, "Well, I just finished everything. And this boy, no, don't blame him. Don't blame him. Please don't be angry with him. He's just a child. He doesn't know." He started eating. So the father, Jagannath Mishra, they said, "We shall consider ourselves most unfortunate if a house guest is not given his chance to cook. So please, I'll clean up the place. I'll give you fresh ingredients. Please cook again." He said, "Sir, should I tell you honestly, it is already past evening. It is already past my eating hour. I can't eat now." "Oh, no, no, no. We shall feel offended." So let us say he started around 5 or 6 o'clock. Now again at 8 o'clock, he's told to cook. So he starts cooking. It takes about 35, 45 minutes to an hour. Everything is ready. He begins to chant the mantras. And Nimai comes and starts eating the rice again. "Hi, hi, hi, alas, alas, alas." Again, everybody comes running in. "What happened? What happened? What happened?" Look what has happened. The child came again. This time, Jagannath Mishra took a stick, ran after baby Nimai and child Nimai. Nimai ran away. He ran into some other part of the house where there were ladies, and they told him, "Have you lost your mind? Do you know who this guy is? He's traveling all over the world. We don't even know where he comes from, what his customs are, what etiquette he follows. You have eaten from his plate. You don't fear losing your prestige, your position here. You are a very respected family." So Nimai looked at the ladies and said, "Don't you know that I come from a coward family? And we always eat the remnants of food offered by the Brahmanas." Now, Nimai is honestly telling them what the reality is. But because of Krishna's internal potency, now please try to understand. You and me get bewildered by the external potency. But when Krishna wants to bewilder his own people, his own devotees, he doesn't use the same potency. He uses a far superior potency. So that illusion actually gives happiness. This illusion gives the illusion of becoming happy. That is a different illusion. So there's a big discussion. The whole family is sitting there and he's saying, I'll tell you something. I don't fight so much with life situations or whatever. I think today I'm supposed to fast. Now this is another thing which society can learn. Many times we fight with so much vigor and enthusiasm at life's events. If we are not devotees, we just fight with anger, passion. Sometimes even if we are devotees, we fight with prayers. Oh Lord, I prayed so much. This should have happened. This didn't happen. A prayer is not a gun or a revolver which you can use and tell Lord that, look, I prayed, right? I prayed extra. Better make sure this thing happens. A real Brahmana, he said, I tried to it twice. Maybe it's not ordained that I should be eating food today. Let it go. I can fast. So sometimes fasting is done just to give you an experience of what would happen if food was denied to you. You're already prepared. Just like in a battlefield preparation, a soldier goes through running, swimming, carrying heavy loads with live ammunition. Why? Because that's what the real war would look like. So that's also one reason why we have all these various austerities which are prescribed. Seeing the Brahmana completely decided, no, I'm not going to cook. That's it. The elder brother of Nimai Pandit, Vishwarup, he came. The moment the Brahmana saw Vishwarup, something stirred in his heart. Vishwarup came and said, please, sir, for the sake of our family's spiritual progress, for our honor, I personally request you, please cook again. Jagannath Mishra came forward and said, I have entrusted our Nimai, our child, with some ladies. They have kept him in a room. Since it is late at night, they will put him to sleep. I will bolt the door from outside. So please don't worry, but you please cook. He said, it is almost midnight. When will I finish cooking? When will I eat? Please let me fast for the day. And they said, no, that would be a dishonor for us. So everybody was just entreating after entreaty after entreaty, prayer after prayer, they were begging. Finally, the Brahmana relented. All right, all right. If it all helps you, I don't want to break your hearts. So it could be something like 10:30 that he started to cook again. It was almost midnight. The rice was cooked, vegetables were cooked. He took up his small bell. Ding, 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 ding. Began offering prayers. And he saw the baby, the child Nimai sitting in front of him and eating rice again. This time it was past midnight, so he didn't shout hi, hi. He started crying. And then something happened. Nimai showed him his form of Gopal. He said, why are you crying? If you with such pure devotion, when you invoke me, do you think I can rest? I can be sitting anywhere? One chant which comes from the bottom of the heart, I am purchased by devotee's devotion. You are my devotee birth after birth after birth. I am bound. So many times, not just in Vedic scriptures, but say the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, the Lord's majesty is overly emphasized. That God is huge, God is unlimited, God's anger is unlimited. Some say God is a jealous God, you can't see God. Like I read one Jewish wisdom text which says that nobody has seen the Lord and stayed alive. So people are in a perpetual state of awe and reverence. Oh my God, you can't see God and be alive? Or God is all light, He's all fire and brimstone. Now, I'm not saying He's not that. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Oh Arjuna, I am everything." What does everything mean? From the Alpha to the Omega, all kinds of emotions. He is the source of everything. He also is the source of humility, compassion, which are oceanic. In fact, according to our Radha Govind Maharaj, he gives his nice Bhagavatam classes here in India, comparing Krishna's compassion to an ocean is a very miserable kind of comparison, because this ocean has a shore. From space, you can photograph an ocean, it has some limits. Krishna's compassion has no limits. Krishna's knowledge has no limits. Krishna's love has no limits. So, Krishna is explaining to this Brahmana that I don't wish to keep you fasting, or I don't wish to harm you. It is your love which forces me. I am bound. So then the Brahmana got so blissful that he started jumping in joy, dancing. That rice which was supposed to be eaten, he started throwing it all over his body. And past midnight, the family came and they said, has he gone bonkers or what? What happened to him? But Nimai had told him, do not divulge this secret to anyone. So he was just shouting, Gopal, 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 Gopal. The family thought that, wow, this guy is really ecstatic. From that day onwards, Chaitanya Bhagavat tells us, every day he would visit the house. He would come there. He never went. He said, I'm very restless, therefore I travel all over. But after that, he never went anywhere else. He stayed in Navadvip and he came to the house for darshan every day. So, of course, it's a very sweet story and we have to go forward. Actually, there is such a elaborate way in which we can understand this. So brief stop here for any questions or any comments.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for explaining this. Very nice.
Welcome. So the next verse also is another beautiful pastime. Very simple, sweet story. Would anyone like to continue reading?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
चोरेलाना गेला प्रभु के बाईरा पाया तारा शंका दे चाड़ी आईला तारे भूलाया. Translation: In his childhood, the Lord was taken away by two thieves outside his home. The Lord, however, got up on the shoulders of the thieves, and while they were thinking they were safely carrying the child to rob his ornaments, the Lord misled them, and thus, instead of going to their own home, the thieves came back to the home of Jagannath Mishra. In his childhood, the Lord was profusely decorated with gold ornaments. Once upon a time, when the Lord was playing outside his house, two thieves passing on the street saw the opportunity to rob him. Therefore, they took him on their shoulders, pleasing him by offering him some sweetmeats. The thieves thought they would carry the child to the forest and then kill him and take away the ornaments. The Lord, however, expanded his illusory energy upon the thieves so much so that instead of carrying him to the forest, they came right back in front of his house. When they came before his house, they became afraid because everyone from the house of Jagannath Mishra and all the inhabitants of that quarter were busy searching for the child. Therefore, the thieves, thinking it dangerous to remain, went away and left him. The child was brought within the house and given to Mother Sachi, who was in great anxiety, and she became satisfied. This incident is also very elaborately explained in the Adi Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavata, 3rd chapter.
Okay, very small comment here. Again, this is also one very favorite story where Maharaj has elaborately given an explanation. What does it mean to be very close to God? Physically, if you stay in a temple, does that mean you are close? If you give a lot of charity, does that mean you are close? If you build a temple, you give donation, or you intellectually you know a lot of verses, you can quote them, rattle them by heart. Does it mean that you're close? Or you are a very austere person and you eat very frugally, live very simply? Does that mean that you're close? Basically, here is a pastime or story where two thieves, they actually picked up Nimai, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing in his role as a baby. Now, how close can you get? And they are carrying him on their shoulders. But what was the intent? The intent was to rob him. Same thing is with a spiritual teacher, your spiritual master. What does it mean to become close to your spiritual master? Will everybody get the chance to massage him, to cook for him? Like sometimes devotees in female bodies, they say, oh, we are so unfortunate, we cannot become close. Please try to understand, spiritual life means there is no material obstacle to become close to anyone, especially the spiritual master, Vaishnavas, Dham, holy name, or the Supreme Lord. But the way in which you come close is not material. So, Prabhupada was sitting on a Vyasasan, and the discussion was about something related to this. How do we get closer to the Guru, to Krishna? And Prabhupada said, the closest person to me right now is this mosquito sitting on my thigh. And he's simply giving me trouble. So, this is one point, that physical proximity is not all in all. One disciple told that the disciple had a dream. And in a dream, he and another disciple were having a verbal disagreement. The person who had the dream said that, I have so much of good fortune of serving Prabhupada personally. So seeing this, another god brother, he became a bit angry and he said, why are you always doing this personal service to Prabhupada? So he said, maybe because I'm fallen, maybe because I need it or whatever. So after hearing him, he said, Prabhupada, is it, I have been accused of monopolizing your attention, or I'm always there in the room. And Prabhupada was amusingly hearing it, and he said, look, the spiritual master never holds back his affection from any disciple. You should never think that this particular devotee got so much of mercy, this particular person got so much of attention. Or there are so many photographs of guru with this person. From one point of view, that person is fortunate for sure. But from a spiritual angle, nobody should fear that the affection of Guru, the affection of Krishna could be divided, could be limited. If you consider that, your intelligence is not that purified and strong. Spiritual life or spiritual happiness is not like a pizza or a cake. If it is just four of us, all right, at least we'll get 25%, one fourth. The fifth person comes and we say, oh my, now it will be one fifth. If there are 10 people, we say, oh my goodness, that will be 10 pieces. If there are 20 people, we may start crying. What will I get? So division of happiness in a material way is a very wrong way of looking at happiness. So these two thieves, they carried the baby on their shoulders, and they saw that that time Indian society was such that even a child would be having minimum 6 to 7 solid gold ornaments. Gold bangles, gold anklets, gold chain. There is one piece called not Karadhani, Kinkini. Kinkini means a golden belt. Prabhupada once remarked that, oh well, society is advancing, society is advancing. Plastic plates, plastic cups, plastic food, plastic ornaments. Where is the opulence? A few hundred years ago, a girl about to get married, she would be laden with gold. Even money is plastic nowadays, right? Nobody uses gold coins. The bonds are called gold, but there is no gold in it, simply paper. So they thought they would rob the child. They carried him away, far away, according to their understanding. So they were trying to become over smart. And what Krishna did, what Nimai did, he put them into illusion. And after going around the town 2 or 3 times, they came back in the same courtyard where they started. And looking at them, Jagannath Mishra and his other elderly people, they said, oh, these two gentlemen found our child. Thank you, sirs. Gentlemen, you are most kind, most generous. And the thieves were completely bewildered. Hey, what's that? I thought we were bringing him to our hideout. And the second one said, you idiot. I told you this is the wrong route. This is the wrong way. Now we are in front of the same household. They will beat us up. So Jagannath Mishra went inside. Oh, I should give them some reward, some money or something. So as he ran inside, they thought he is running inside to get a stick and to beat them up. So both of them left the child in the courtyard and ran like anything. Then they came to their hideout and said, my goodness, I don't know which goddess we worship today, Chandi, Bhadrakali, whatever, but she, our mother, she saved us today. Otherwise, these people would have beaten us to pulp. So, you carry the Supreme Lord on your shoulders. You get bewildered, and then you feel that your mother Kali has saved you from what? From Krishna. It is simply your lack of training and culture that you get the chance to carry the Supreme Lord. Now, of course, Nimai enjoyed it. Which child would not enjoy somebody carrying them on the shoulders and going around town? So, that's a joyride for me. Last point is, do not see whether Krishna gets any happiness from something or not. There are demoniac people, they fight with Krishna like these people, they stole Krishna and Krishna got his bliss. The Trinavarta demon took Krishna high up in the sky. like a drone flying today, and Krishna was happy with that. So you may say, oh, this person made Krishna happy, he must be a devotee, or this person should get the result of devotion. That's the problem. Krishna owns everything, so Krishna can get happiness anyway. But because your activity was not done in a favorable mentality, anukulyena Krishnanushilanam, the activities of Krishna consciousness, reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting Hare Krishna, discussing among devotees, that has to be done in a favorable mode of mentality. Only then it becomes bhakti. Otherwise, to give an opposite example, Mother Yashoda, she put Krishna away. He was trying to suck her milk. And he said, no way, not now. I need to attend to that milk which is boiling on that stove. Krishna got very angry, started crying. So she is actually making Krishna cry. Does it mean she's not a devotee? No, she's the topmost of devotees. So these are the subtleties of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Anyone else would like to read further? Oh, you want to continue? Oh, whatever.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Text 39. Vyadi chale jagadisha hiranya sadhane Vishnu naivedya kaila ekadisha dina. Translation. Pretending to be sick, the Lord asked some food from the house of Hiranya and Jagadisha on the Ekadashi day. Purport. The Chaitanya Bhagavata, just a second. The Chaitanya Bhagavata Adikhanda chapter 6 fully describes the Lord's accepting Vishnu Prasadam on the Ekadashi day in the house of Jagannatha and Hiranya. Regular prasadam is offered to Lord Vishnu on Ekadashi because although fasting is recommended for devotees on Ekadashi, it is not recommended for Lord Vishnu. Once on Ekadashi in the house of Jagadisha and Hiranya Pandita, there were arrangements for preparing special prasadam for Lord Vishnu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked his father to get there to ask for the Vishnu prasadam because he was feeling sick. The house of Jagadisha and Hiranya Pandita was situated about 2 miles from the house of Jagannath Mishra. Therefore, when Jagannath Mishra, on the request of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, came to ask Jagadisha and Hiranya for the prasadam, they were a little astonished. How could the boy understand that special prasadam was being prepared for Lord Vishnu? They immediately concluded that Nimai must have supernatural mystic power. Otherwise, how could he understand that they were preparing special prasadam? Therefore, they immediately sent the food to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his father, Jagannatha Mishra. Nimai was feeling sick, but immediately after eating the Vishnu prasadam, he was cured, and he also distributed the prasadam among his playmates. Text 40. शिशुशफलाय पादा वसाधिरघारे चूरिकारी द्रव्यकाया मारे balakire. Translation. As usual for small children, he learned to play, and with his playmates, he went to the house of neighboring friends, stealing their eatables and eating them. Something the children fought among themselves. Text 41. शिशु सभा साची स्थाने कैले निवेदाना सोनी सची पुत्रे किंचु धीला lolahana. Translation. All the children logged complaints with Sachimata about the lords fighting with them and stealing from the neighbors' houses. Therefore, sometimes she used to chastise or rebuke her son.
We'll
That's
stop
40.
here for the day. There is another big purport. We'll have the discussion next time.
Sure,
So
Prabhuji.
we have Ekadashi tomorrow here in India. And then after 4 days, we have Gaur Purnima. So we discuss this thing as a kind of preparation. I don't think any of your temples have in-person festivities yet, right?
We have
Yeah.
Prabhuji, like
You have?
open darshan. Yeah, in ISV on 28th.